How do I cultivate a growth mindset? So we have what's called a growth mindset, and we have what's called a fixed mindset. So a growth mindset is a mindset of freedom. A growth mindset, like you can do anything, sky's the limit, is not limited. Whereas a fixed mindset is limited in how you think, like it's certain things that you think you can't do. You're just limited in your thinking. So a growth mindset, we persevere in the face of failures. Effort is required to build new skills, find inspiration in others' successes. We embrace challenges, we accept criticism, we desire to learn, we build abilities. Whereas a fixed mindset that is limited, we avoid challenges. We give up easily. We are threatened by the success of others. We desire to look smart, even though we may not be smart. Our effort is fruitless. We ignore feedback. We have fixed abilities. So you must believe that you're deserving of what you want before you can have what you want. It starts with changing what you believe about yourself and what value you have to offer. So your mindset is all about how you think, like how you look at things. Do you think that you can achieve this? Do you think that you can, have the job or the career that you want? Because, believe it or not, some people, they want certain things. They want a certain job. They want to be in a specific career field, but they don't believe they have what it takes to even, get started on that career path. So with a growth mindset, that you're telling yourself, look, this is what I want. I'm going to do what I need to do to achieve it. And, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think that's a lot of the delay, because we want things to happen overnight. We want to, go to school for 2 weeks and come out with our degree in 2 weeks and be on our career path. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to invest a few years in school, if this is the career path you want to take, if it's required. If what you want to do requires a college degree or some training, whatever it is, we have to invest in the time to do that. And I know just thinking about it, you look at it, you're like, I don't have time to do all this. I need my money and I need it now. But, the same time too, I tell people, you're going to still be at the same place you had 2-3 years later, when you could have went and invested that 3 years and you can be done and you can be on the, the career path that you want to be on, versus saying, oh, it's going to take too long. I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the money, just thinking of all the ways. And I don't really like to say excuses, but it could be an excuse. But just thinking of all the ways why you can't do it, versus, okay, let me learn what I need to do and just get on that career path, get on that path to doing what I need to do. And there may be some challenges, there may be some obstacles, yes. But we try, with a growth mindset, we try to figure out how we can work around those challenges and those obstacles, because they're probably going to be there. But with the growth mindset, look, we embrace challenges. We don't run away from it. Just because a challenge is there, it doesn't mean that we just say we can't do it and we give up. Versus those with a fixed mindset, they give up easily. They avoid the challenge. Like the first challenge that they run into, they say, they throw their hands up, I can't do this, and then we're back at square one. So that's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And it is a process. If you've had a limited mindset for a long time, you have to train your way out of that fixed mindset into a growth mindset. So it's not easy. So don't just think overnight you can just wake up and say, oh, I got a growth mindset. No, there's a process. There's things you have to do to train your mind to be on the growth mindset, whether it's the fixed mindset. And we're going to talk about that later, what some things that affect us and have us with a limited mindset versus a growth mindset. All right, so we want to break free from limiting beliefs. A self-limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction, or belief that you think to be true that limits you in some way. This limiting belief could be about you. It can be about your interactions. It can be interaction with other people, or with the world and how it works. Limiting beliefs can have several negative effects on you. They can keep you from making good choices, taking new opportunities, or reaching your potential. Ultimately, limiting beliefs can keep you stuck in a negative state of mind and hinder you from living the life you truly desire. think the limiting beliefs was one. Okay, yeah, on your handout, it just says break free from limiting beliefs. So the blanks in there is break free from limiting beliefs. All right, so 4 E's that lead to limiting beliefs, which is like the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. So your experiences. So a major way by which we form our beliefs is through our direct experiences. It's very easy to assume your beliefs are facts when they're usually not. So a lot of times, based on our experience, based on what we've experienced, whether it's in our childhood, whether it's through our teenage years, whether it's through our young adult years, and as an adult. But whatever our experiences are, that shapes the way we think. That shapes what we believe. And sometimes your beliefs might not be facts. You may think they're facts because they're your facts, they're your truth. But it just may not be facts. It's just based on your experiences, that's what you believe. And sometimes we have to, train our mind to come out of that belief. We have to unlearn, like a lot of the stuff that we experience. A lot of times we don't know that our experiences and what we've been through is shaping the way we believe. We don't know that until we, may have a conversation with somebody else that don't think like us, that believe different from us. And then we have to look at ourselves like, okay, so why I believe the way I believe and you believe the way you believe? Because we believe based on our experiences, but those beliefs may not always be facts. So that is one way that contributed to limiting beliefs, that lead to limiting beliefs. So your emotions. Our emotions are powerful, y'all. Very, very powerful, especially when we leave them unchecked. Fear is the chief emotional driver of limiting beliefs. So when we think about fear being the chief emotional driver of limiting beliefs, that's because people are afraid. People are afraid to come out of their comfort zone. People are afraid to do the unknown. People are afraid to do something that they've never done. And so when we are afraid to do something that we've never done, it keeps us in this mindset of, I can't do this. When you very may well can do it, but the fear is telling you that you can't do it because you've never done it before. So our emotions is another E that leads to limiting beliefs. Our education. We learn from almost everything around us, from what our parents tell us, from what our teachers have told us, the books we read, the podcasts we listen to, like everything. However you get your education, if you look at TV to get your education, if you read books, if you listen to podcasts, if you go to school, your teachers, your parents, wherever you're receiving your education, that contributes to your beliefs, whether it's a limiting belief or a liberating belief. And the opposite of a limiting belief is a liberating belief. So we learn about the world, how it works, how we should behave in it, and navigate the world based on the information we learn. So everything that we're receiving, our education, and how we're receiving that education, it impacts, it leads to that limiting belief or liberating belief. Now everybody may not have limiting belief. Now you may have some, but you may have more liberating beliefs versus limiting beliefs, based on these 4 E's: your experiences, your emotions, your education, and excuses. So limiting beliefs sometimes develop when we're looking for a way to excuse our behaviors or outcomes that we're not happy with. So sometimes we just make excuses and say, well, I can't do this for whatever reason, but that is, just coming up with something, looking for a way to get out of actually doing the work or doing what it takes to come out of that limiting belief. So these are the 4 E's that lead to limiting beliefs. And, based on these 4 E's, it can lead to liberating beliefs as well. But this is just kind of highlight, if you think a certain way, you're thinking, like you can't do something, your belief is limited, it is based on oftentimes these 4 reasons right here. Do I have any comments, anything you want to share based on these limiting beliefs? All right. So self-liberating beliefs versus self-limiting beliefs. So liberating beliefs serve as motivators, allowing you to feel encouraged, motivated, and ready to act towards your goals. Let me see a show of hands. Everybody got some goals in here. You got some goals. We got some things that we want to achieve, right? So those liberating beliefs serve as motivators to keep us encouraged, because sometimes we can get discouraged. We can lose motivation because it seems like we're not achieving our goals as quick as we want to. The same goals we set in 2024 is almost in 2025 and we haven't checked nothing off that list. Mm-hmm. That can be discouraging. That can be frustrating. So that's why we have to have liberating beliefs versus limiting beliefs. Because if we haven't limiting beliefs, then if we get to the middle of 2025 and we haven't achieved those goals, guess what? We just throw the whole paper away. Rather than just reassessing and reevaluating and be, okay, maybe I just need to do something different, to start working on towards achieving these goals versus just throwing the whole thing away and being like, I can't do this, it's too hard, I just can't do it. When in fact you can do it, you just have to, think different about it. That's all. It's okay if you haven't achieved the goals that you had set in January, and here's August, the 8th month of the year, and it's okay. Give yourself a little grace. It's okay. But it's hard to do that when you have limiting beliefs versus liberating beliefs. So limiting beliefs can make you feel stuck when it comes time to take action towards your career goals. So if you have a limiting belief when it's time to actually do the work, it's time to enroll in school, it's time to apply for that job, even just applying for a job, that's intimidating for some people. That's a big deal. Just applying. If we have a limiting belief, we feel like we can't even apply for the job. We feel, so many other people gonna apply for this job. I don't have a chance. I'm not good enough. I don't have the skills. And then none of that may not be true. We just talked about what we believe come based on our experiences, how we grew up and the people that we're around, our education. So if you feel like you don't have what it takes versus the next person, you may be the best person qualified for the job. But if you have a limiting belief, thinking that everybody else is more qualified than you, then you may not even apply for the job. So that's the difference between self-liberating and self-limiting beliefs. Liberating beliefs, on the other hand, provide you with the internal motivation you need to keep pursuing your goals, to pursue new opportunities, to persist in the face of career challenges and adversity. Because guess what, y'all? The challenge is going to come. The adversity is going to come. But that don't mean we give up. That don't mean we throw in the towel. That don't mean we say we can't do it. It's too hard. It may be too hard. I'm not going to say it's not hard. It may be hard. But in the face of all that, you still can do it. You still can do it. So that's the difference between people with a limiting belief and a liberating belief. So when you see people, it just look like they just don't want to take action, look like they're just lazy, they just don't want to do it. That may not be the case. They just have a limiting belief based on what their experiences, based on their education, based on, how they grew up, based on what their parents taught them or what their parents didn't teach them, based on the schools they went to, based on the work that they've done in the past. All that contributes to how we think and what we believe. So even when we see people not working, it don't mean that they just don't want to work. They just have limiting beliefs about themselves that contributes to them not taking action. Any thoughts about this? Any questions? All right.